Hey guys, so good to have you with us. We are on day 11.
Yeah, we're almost there, right?
It just hit me of our 12-day multi-provincial road trip across China.
Ambitious.
Ambitious, long, but really actually exciting and beautiful. We are one of 3 teams that are traveling across China. We are in the northeastern part of the country. I am Jonathan Betts alongside my new friend here, Xu Xin. We have 2 other teams in the southeast and the southwest, and we are in the city of Panjin right now. And as we look out the windows, another beautiful sight. It's so interesting just seeing how much the country changes as we cover hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. This is how would you describe this city? A relatively small city, I guess?
Yeah, small. I mean, on the smaller side. I'm here in China.
In Chinese terms, but excuse everything because a small city in China has a couple of million people, which is larger than most American cities. But we're in the farming area. This place is known for petrochemicals and for farms. And earlier today we had crab, which was a treat.
Yeah, it
a lot of crabs here.
Fresh, yeah.
Rice, completely.
And it's quite interesting for them how to combine local agriculture with like breeding crabs. Like they actually breed crabs inside of the rice field.
I had actually never seen that before. We were at rice fields where they are growing rice, and of course rice grows in water, and the farmers decided about 30 years ago, you know what? Why don't we combine crabs here? So we'll raise crabs and rice in the same plot of land, which is a pretty smart strategy, especially considering that China does not have a ton of arable land. So they're really trying to maximize what they have there.
Yeah, and also, just to talk more about this city, is like the city has like 1.5 million people, but half of them are actually living in rural areas. So it seems like urbanization kind of slows down a little bit here, but people are happy in the rural area, don't they, right?
Yeah, it seems like that for sure. And that's a real focus for the Chinese government to make sure that people's lives are fulfilled, that they have options, that there's connectivity to the rest of the country, which is why we see such a focus on cultural institutions, but also on highways and railways and airports that stretch across all China to really better connect the country.
But then bring it back to like Panjin being famous for its petrochemical industries, but just look out. I mean, we have green, right? We have trees, we have rice fields. So let's just bring in our guests, and we, of course, Tang Jima, our current affairs commentator, and Benjamin Chow with Paris School of Business. So just let's talk about how cities like Panjin kind of balance this out. They have their traditional heavy industries. They are also kind of trying to preserve the natural beauty of this area.
Well, the whole thing started back in 2006 with this government all-out initiative to build this new rural countryside. I mean, this is supposed to be the kind of wilderness out of nowhere. I mean, along the Liaoning River, back in the 50s and 60s, kind of a huge oil field was found here. And so petrochemical industry flourished during that socialist past back then. But then eventually this is also countryside. I mean, basically this is the farmer's home. And so right now there's a kind of a balanced policy to build both this very area into a flourishing kind of a heavy industry and also farming land for farmers.
So help me understand that term that you just talked about, the new countryside here, because this is a concept I think that is very foreign to me, and I'm trying to get my hands around it. You're talking about, I know of urban planning, but this sounds like it is rural planning coming from the government, where they are deciding where farms should be built and how and what to raise. Am I understand that correctly?
Well, yes. I mean, to quote what you said earlier, I mean, options and connectivity. Options meaning that you give farmers more choices for them to actually live, and in which that they can actually improve their livelihood by living in better housing, at the same time grow whatever they want, but then basically it's profitable crops. Look at here that we visited, right? It's rice paddies plus this very crabs growing at the same time, side by side in that very piece. But then it's all well planned out, right? I mean, out there kind of a square shaped and in that particular region, At the same time, I think that oil industry remains a strong kind of a point. It remains the kind of strength of this very city. So planning is like urban planning with heavy emphasis on industry, heavy industry, but then rural planning also meaning rural urbanization.
But this top-down approach here, there's got to be complications and difficulties with that. So Professor Xiao, I mean, walk me through kind of what are some of the drawbacks of this approach?
I think we have pretty strong policies in here. The forums that we visited is one of the few national forums. By that we mean, so the farmers come to the paddy field, they could grow their crops. When they get to the age of 60, they could retire, and then the village will give them a pension. Okay, but then they have to let go of their land, and that land will be equally distributed to those people who are more than 18 years old. Just get 18 years old. Okay, equally distributed. So they are not allowed to transfer the land. So one of the reasons is that these are considered the minimal amount of land in China. We must be used for farming to ensure that we have some security, national security in terms of agriculture produce quantity. So
it has to do with that very bottom line of the Chinese government to maintain that very 1.8 billion acre of arable land.
Speaking of like rural development, right now the government is really trying to make life in rural areas desirable. You know, as we have, I mean, as the village that we visited, Dapu, yes, Dapu's, I mean, they have pretty good houses. They have this tablet at the entrance of the village. It looks pretty cool. But then, what are the purpose of making like villages like new or countryside new? Are they trying to attract like tourism or like even boost other service industries?
Well, the word new is interesting. I mean, if you compare the China prior to 1949 and China after 1949, the China prior to 1949 is always referred to as the old society. And the one after 1949 is the new society. A new society got to be new, in the sense that lives must be different. There must be a radical kind of a political, cultural, and economic break away from the old past. And so rural villages got to be replanted. Housing got to be rebuilt. Housing got to be rebuilt and resupplied to the farmers, and got to be beautiful. And so this new countryside currently, for example, when we visit that village, did you see that very kind of a stone archway? I mean, a stone archway, and also a group of.
While we drove in, we did see the stone archway, and because it's all planned out.
Right, it's all planned out.
It's designed. It's relatively new.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. That's right. And also the group of statues on both sides of that very archway. It's supposed to be designed to make the village look artistically beautiful. It's not just a kind of a natural sort of a way of looking, but now we add a little bit of art to it, and so that people may actually enjoy that very environment in which they live.
But it's more for local people to enjoy it, or actually to attract
both
people to it?
I mean, ultimately, it's for the local people. I mean, the village got to be kind of changing in terms of its physical appearance, its physical circumstances, and statues and archways, paved kind of a road, are all supposed to be part of this improvement on the local residents' livelihood.
Well, we see a lot of tourist attractions in this part of China, and we're headed to another one.
We are,
It's called the Red Beach.
Yeah.
It is on my list of top things to see in China. I have a list at home of all the things I want to see here, and that's on my list. And I did not know we were even going to be visiting it until I got on the bus today. So I'm very excited about it.
Me too. I mean, I've never been there. I mean, last year I spent like 10 months here in Northeast. It was one of the places that I really want to visit. Yeah.
So we will hopefully show that to you live when we pull up here as we continue our journey across China. We're on the highway. We are on the road headed to the Red Beach. I'm super excited about it. We're going to show that to you when we get there. But in the meantime, let's turn to our team in the southwest. That is Sean Caleb's and Jiao Yunfei. So what do you guys have there?
The winding Yangtze River produces rapid torrents and abundant water resources. Lying along the upper reaches of the river, the Three Gorges Dam. The dam lies 185 meters above sea level. On one side is a peaceful reservoir, and on the other, a magnificent flood discharge scene. Inside the dam, 3 hydroelectric warehouses generate power that reach half of China's total population. It's the world's most sophisticated engineering. The ship lift and the 5-tier ship lock on the sides of the dam fulfill the booming water transportation demand along the mountainous regions. As a multifunctional dam, the Three Gorges is contributing to the nation's economic production and construction.
And that was a panoramic video of the Three Gorges Dam produced by CGTN. It was very beautiful, but we will reach the Three Gorges Dam really soon, in about 1 hour at 4 GMT on TV. But before we show you the real dam, we show you some fake models.
Yeah, real models, just the fake-looking dam.
Fake, yes.
That is, it's very impressive. I have, like so much of this new China trip, Yufei, I have learned so much in such a short period of time. This is a model of the dam part of the Three Gorges, but the Three Gorges itself is such a massive area that we can't come close to showing you all of it. But here we have the Yangtze River. There you see the dam up in this area, and the all-important power generating sources on the edges there. Just fascinating to me how this is all done. It's old hat to you. You've seen it, but I come in like a wide-eyed kid and say, wow, wow, wow.
It's not just a dam. It's not just a reservoir and flood discharging thing. People say it's a comprehensive dam, meaning that it has many different functions: flood control, power generating. Some people also think it's a ecological engineering. In order to tell you more about this, we have a guest speaker over here, Mark Zhou, and he's a staff member who works at the exhibition center. Welcome, Mark. So can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at over here? We know that the Three Gorges Dam is at a very geographical vantage point. How so?
This is the location of the dam, and actually the dam site is located in the middle section of the Yangtze River. It's about 1,000 kilometers away from Shanghai, Hong Kong, Macau to the dam, and also we consider man-made dike. This place used to be a small island.
And you told us earlier that's rock there, so it was very fortunate to have that to build this massive structure on.
Yes, the geological condition is excellent. It's granite, the base. So this is the best location because in the upstream of the dam side, in downstream, the rocks are limestone and sandstone. Only here is granite.
Limestone is much more porous. It would not hold the kind of weight that you needed to. And lastly, you also talked just about the sheer distance from spot A to spot B. You were able to put many more turbines in and therefore supply more power.
Yes. Actually, the second reason, the river is much wider. So we can put more turbines in the power station, and there is an underground powerhouse right here. We put 6 more turbines in the mountain body underneath.
So there are 32 generators within the dam. We'll get to that a little bit later. And then when the dam is constructed, for the vessels passing through, it creates a little bit issue, but thanks to the 5-tire shift lift as well as a water elevator, something like that, over that side of the dam, right?
Yes. There are 2 different kinds of navigation facility. One is ship lift for 3,000 tonnage boat to go.
It's just like an elevator and water inside.
Like a car park. You just pull your ship up in it and away you go.
And go up and down.
And in 40 minutes, a smaller ship can go through it. And another one is the ship lock. This is a man-made canal. This place used to be mountain.
Wow. So
5 steps and 2 ways, one way up, one way down, and 24 hours a day.
The locks and dam, though, that's very common. That's an engineering that's gone way, way back. That's the traditional way of getting boats through.
Yes. Actually, before the construction of the dam, the river was very narrow. The boat trekkers, laborers pulled a bamboo raft against the current all the way from Yichang to Chongqing City. So everything changed in 22 years.
And there you also mentioned about a difference between the height of the water from the reservoir to the downstream of the Yangtze River.
So I don't know whether you can tell from our TV screen or a social media screen, but over that side with a higher water level, it's the reservoir, and the downside. How tall is that?
Yes, in the reservoir, the maximum water level is 175 meters above sea level.
Wow.
The water level in lower water level side, 62 meters.
62 meters.
So the drop is 113 meters.
So you think about a soccer pitch, how long that takes to run up and down. That's the distance between the upper area and the lower area.
And you think about the tall, the kind of geographical differences, or it's kind of use the gravity to generate power.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to show you. Let's say we head out in this exhibition hall. Yufei was telling me about it as we were driving up here. When you come, you really get a sense for just how massive this area is and how important it is to New China's future. You talked about the fact that so much of this is for flood control. Tell me about the history of the floodplain.
In 2,000 years, more than 215 times of flood disasters occurred in the middle section of the Yangtze River. And for example, in 1931, in 1935, about 280,000 people died because of flood disaster.
The most recent one was 1998, which killed almost 4,000 people in a catastrophe flooding. Yeah. So, okay, then.
So this is important.
This is a fun thing.
Just tell us about this, because you've been here before.
Yeah, this is a bigger model of the turbine and the generator. It is composed of 3 parts, such as the turbine, main shaft, generator, and the spiral case, draft tube. And there are 32 turbines in the powerhouse, 700 megawatt for each.
So if you do math, 1 minute, how many spins does it take every minute?
75 revolutions per minute.
And that's a big turbine, too.
Yes.
So that water, it comes in the intake valve, which is on this side. So the water comes pouring in through here.
Yeah, this is a penstock, like a pipeline, and the diameter is 12.4 meters.
So this thing is really, really huge.
Yes, each turbine needs 996 cubic meters per second of water to support.
Can you give us an idea how much power it generates every minute or every second or whatever?
In 2018, the Three Gorges power station
32 of the generators
generated power about 100 billion kilowatt hours.
So that means
about at least 3 or 5% of the whole country powered. Yeah.
Usage of power, including family usage and all sorts of usage.
It's quite different between dry season and rainy season.
Okay.
In rainy season, much rainfall, so the power station can power 5% of the whole country, but in dry season, not so much water.
So but China has a really interesting strategy to kind of control the dry season versus the rainy season, which is the water projects. It's the whole country project. We can give you more idea over here at this side. So this is the entire power map that the Three Gorges Dam generates, and it transmits power to half of China's territory.
Yes, this is the map of China, and we can see the power transmission and the transformation system. The bigger circle, that is the power network, diameter 1,000 meters.
So that's 1,000 from where this heart of this is to Shanghai.
Yes.
Wow.
So
So that's proof that why we're in central China, because 1,000 diameter, we can reach Beijing, we can reach Shanghai, and we can reach Hong Kong.
yes,
Show us where the floodplain was traditionally, where all the people
this
were at
place
risk.
used to be flood disasters area, and in the history, the people built dikes along the river.
But of course, those could be threatened by just heavy rain. A dike is quite often mud or dirt, and even waves that would come up would test the continuity, would test the integrity of those kind of dikes, and they're just not very solid.
Yes, flood control is a hidden trouble for the whole country, and actually, when we put the dam in the gorges, the flood water or snow melt coming from Tibet can be controlled by the dam in the lake.
Kind of go up to Tibet again, because I was luckily I had a chance
You've been
to
there
go
many times. Yeah.
And then we see the glaciers, and the number of rivers that really emanate or start in Tibet is really impressive. And during the melt coupled with heavy rainfall, you can understand how they would be overburdened.
Actually, there are many tributaries
Right.
in the upstream of the Yangtze River, and the snow melt supplied much water for power generation, and at the same time, they caused a flood disaster in the middle section. So,
Now, 1.3 million people had to be moved for this. It was controversial. A lot of people in the West obviously focused a great deal of attention on that, because also historical significant areas were also affected. Show me where those people were chiefly moved from.
okay, this is the location of the reservoir area. Actually, it's about 660 kilometers long from the dam site to Chongqing City. 1.3 million have been relocated successfully.
So where are they relocated? So they
some
move
people-
upwards, right?
Yeah, about most of the people moved to the nearby area.
Okay.
And some of them moved to the coastline area to reach
more bigger cities.
Yes.
Yeah, but again, from China's perspective, you no longer have to worry once or twice a year that thousands of people are going to be put at risk by flooding.
You are right, yes. And flood control is a big hidden trouble for the country, but now we don't worry about it. Actually, we have flood disaster protection or monitoring stations between Tibet and Shanghai. Yeah, so we can give warning information to the people in downstream
If
before
you can
flooding.
go back to the area where the dam is with
Yes.
your laser pointer, because to me, you told us how that area was dug out. I mean, that's a lot of earth that's been moved to
Right.
do this. I mean, this is a technical marvel, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes. This place, the gorges, the reservoir area is very poor. It was very poor. No farmland, so many people. So when they move out, they got more opportunities. The government did a good job. They supplied the economic development in different places. Every family got compensation and the jobs, farmland, farmhouse.
Wow.
Now,
Farmer's
another
house.
controversy that this Three Gorges Dam has is over its environmental concern. Next up, we'll see one of the local species that has been living at this area for millions or thousands of years, which is the Chinese sturgeon.
That's this top fish.
It's called panda fish of the China.
Yeah,
Right.
every coin has two sides, and positive, negative. Actually, when we built the dam, and the sturgeon, for example, this is the largest fish in the Yangtze River. It used to swim back to spawn, and now they cannot go up, but Chinese government established a breeding center, and we reproduce the sturgeon, release the fish into the river, so the population is on the rise.
I think that's something that needs to be repeated, because many people have heard of salmon swimming upriver
Yes,
before. But the sturgeon, with its skeleton almost on the outside of its body, is something to see in real life, because there are, 25, 26 different species of sturgeon, and they're really all over Russia, United States. Every place has sturgeon, but to see one this size is just amazing.
But one thing that makes it more challenging is the difference between salmon and sturgeon. So when salmon swim upwards and spawn, they die. But for sturgeons, when they swim upwards and they spawn, they swim back for another year. And a few years later, they can swim. They're still alive, so which make a huge challenge. If you build a dam, it will block the way of swimming up and down. But the new kind of breeding or man-bred space kind of provide more opportunity or provide an alternative, like living environment for the sturgeons.
It's amazing. And we also have this guy down here. We can't forget him.
For the white sturgeon, this one This kind of a sturgeon live in Kinsa River, a tributary of the Yangtze River, the upstream.
It really looks
Yes.
like something you would find in the ocean at best, or in a history book with its old story. I mean, these look prehistoric. This goes back 140 million years.
Yes, the same. It has a long history, as long as the dinosaurs. It's called a living fossil in China. Yeah.
How
Okay,
important do you think it is to preserve this? I mean, China has to do this, or else it's going to feel so much heat from the outside. But it's also something that Chinese officials have made clear they want to do: preserve the environment.
Yes, Chinese President Xi Jinping, he can sense up pollution in the Yangtze River, and many factories will be shut down. Yeah, and we transplanted trees from the lake to the botanical parks, such as gardenia, magnolia. The trees were protected already. It's amazing, right?
Okay, at the end of our show, Mark has something really amazing to show us. Let's move that words a little bit.
Why don't I take one, and you two can stand here and explain it, and I'll walk to the other side.
Okay, so this, what is this?
Side. This is Yichang City, Yichang, and from Yichang to upstream we can see.
Now this is what we
second
showed
dam.
earlier, right?
This is where we were.
Gorges
That
Dam.
whole thing inside. Now, look how big this area is.
This
that's
is
been
the
affected.
map of the Three Gorges.
So as we are going downwards, oh my God! So
This is,
see how people being downwards are being affected.
I had no idea. I mean, honestly, and I feel that I know as much about the Three Gorges Dam as most people in the United States, and I had no idea it was this huge.
And hopefully you can get to know more about the Three Gorges Dam in our 8 GMT show, where we'll have half an hour and talk about its hydropower effect as well as ecological preservation.
I mean,
thank you.
Just look at this. I mean, to me, it's staggering. You got not only flood control and electricity, but there's also a way to pump much-needed water north to Beijing.
And shipping, navigation improvement. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate your time spending with us. And now let's go back to our
Colleagues in the Northeast?
colleagues in the Northeast.
Thank you so much, Zhao Yunfei and Sean Caleb from Southwest China. So I think they are approaching the Three Gorges now, right?
Which I'm excited about seeing. I mean, it's such a huge project. Everybody knows about the Three Gorges Dam. It's changed a huge part of China, changed many lives as well. But we're in a very different part of the country. We are on the road. Take a look at that. Out here in the country now.
Yeah, we are.
We are in farmland. We've passed by rice fields, rice paddies, and they might be raising some crabs in those fields too, like we saw earlier. Oil drilling equipment, oil derricks. So this is an interesting place because you have the combination of agriculture, the agricultural industry, and you've also got a lot of, looks like oil mining, but petrochemical plants too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the city actually was famous for it, and they found, as our guest had mentioned, like they had a really great reserve of oil here, found here around.
And the city we're in is called Panjin. It's a relatively small city, again, like we were saying.
It's small. It's even small. It's pretty
It's-
small. It's 1.5 million people.
Yeah, I mean, again, more than 1 million people is a lot of people to me, but I mean, in China, not so big. And we are on our way to a major attraction here, and I'm super excited about this. I'm hoping that we are going to pull up any minute onto this red beach, which I also hope lives up to the name as Red Beach, because the photos online are really stunning. You've not seen it, I've not seen it, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and I only see these pictures of the red beach. So it's not really the beach is red. It's actually the. I mean, it's not the water is red, or either the shore is red, but it's actually the plants, right?
That is why I want to see it, because I'm not really sure what it is. I just know it's cool. I know it's a big attraction. I don't know what is red: the water, the plants, or the sand, or maybe all the above. So you never know. That's one of the joys of this road trip, is you really never know what you're going to see, what you're going to come across until you step off the bus and look at it. And it's usually wildly different than your expectations, and hopefully it'll be better than what we expect today. So as we drive through this part of China, it's such an interesting sight, looking out the window at these looks like visitor centers here.
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about how the country, China, is embracing this concept called New Countryside, and I think we might be seeing some of that here, where basically they are redeveloping.
Oh, actually, we are here. We just got here.
No.
The beach.
Okay, so this is the visitor center we are pulling up to, and if you look out the windows here, you kind of get an idea of what a visitor center is like here in China, because it's always pretty developed. I mean, there's usually bathrooms, there's a lot of stores usually, and I think this is not disappointing. It's going to be the same. And just behind, as you see the picture there on screen, it looks like just beyond that gate, I think, is the ocean, frankly. I think we are pulling right up to the coast, so I am really, really excited to see that. I think our bus, see that car right there? I think it's in our way. And I think we're trying to pull up and show the beach. If we could pull up and actually show the beach live as we are approaching, I would actually love that. I really hope we can make that happen, because that'd be quite a sight, so that we all see it for the first time together, because this is such a major attraction here in China. I mean, you've heard about this place, right?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but never been here, so I really want to see it as well.
Whatever your expectations, what do you think it's going to be?
I'm just scared of the crowds, because it's a huge attraction here. So there are a lot of people every year, and this is the season to see this place. So there will be so many people taking pictures out there, I think.
You know, that is, to me, part of the fun of going to a Chinese tourist attraction, because he is right. It's usually extremely crowded, and especially, as he says, this time of the year. But I kind of like that, because you really get a good taste of the slice of China and what it is like when you go to one of these tourist attractions, because you're going to see people from all over China. They might be looking at you. You are probably going to be looking at them, and you're also going to be looking at the attraction. So I really enjoy that, because it adds a lot of energy to the site, and it's just fun sharing in the joy of everyone seeing something for the first time together. And I'm hoping that we are going to see this for the first time with you as you watch online here. We're getting so close. I'm stalling because I know we're supposed to toss to another team, but I really want to see the red beach, and I want to show it as we pull up.
I
don't know where we are.
We started jumping. I just wanted to point out all the RVs, the residential vehicles. I mean, I believe some of our viewers noticed that as well. Just parked outside. I think some people might even leave.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's the thing is, you know, these are big attractions, and China is a country that likes to travel and sightsee, and people travel across just like they do in the U.S. and Europe. They travel in RVs and recreational vehicles.
Yeah.
That is another booming industry in China, like every other industry, it seems like. So yeah, it looks like this is a big attraction for people to road trip to, which is frankly what we're doing.
But I guess like our colleagues Lindy and Chengxi, they are so eager from the southeast to show us a little bit more of what they have over there.
Yeah, so we'll send it. I'm sorry, I still want to see this red beach.
I mean, when we come back, we're going to be on the ground. We'll tour around with our guests and to show us
we are so close.
A little bit more about.
Stay tuned to that. All right, take it away, guys.
Hello, Jonathan and Xinchen. We are coming to you live from the iconic historical Lion Garden in Suzhou City. Now, this is one of the 4 major gardens in Suzhou. It is one of the UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And we literally just arrived, right? And we've never been here, so we're experiencing this garden for the first time, like many of our audiences.
That's right. But we're not alone. We'll be on this journey of discovery with our 2 guests. Who've gotten off the bus and are going to be walking around here with us. So let's introduce Tim Clancy and, of course, Andy Mark, who have been with us over the past few days. And I think we all need a bit of help here. So it's very good and very lucky that we have Miss Wang here, right? Who's going to be showing us around.
Our local guide, yes. Ms. Wang, let's just talk about the history of this place. How did this place come about in the first place?
Okay, this place was built in the year of 1342 during the Yuan dynasty. And it's very special because it was first constructed as a temple garden.
A Buddhist temple?
Yeah, a Buddhist.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So dating back to the 14th century.
The Yuan dynasty.
A long time ago. Yeah. The Yuan dynasty.
Oh, right, shall we walk around?
Walk around and see what it's all about. Where does the garden get its name from? I understand it's called the Lion Garden,
we
right?
have been asked many times because of the name.
Yeah, why
Is
it's
there
called lion?
any real lion in the garden? Of course, the answer is no. Then why is it called the Lion Forest Garden? We need to know a little about the founder of the garden.
Shall we go? Yeah.
And in 1341, there was a famous monk named Tianru.
Oh yeah, I know about him. So his disciples built this place, right? I googled it yesterday.
Yes, and his disciples built this place for him, and because Tianru's master Zhongfeng got enlightened in the Lion Cliff in Zhejiang Province.
Oh.
So the name was to memorize his master.
Oh.
And in Chinese, the lion pronunciation had the same pronunciation of teacher.
Teacher, yes,
Yeah.
Shi, right?
Yes, and of course there are many lion-shaped rocks in the garden.
Yeah, and then lion sculptures over there, right?
Yeah.
Fascinating. So I see it's quite a busy day today, a lot of visitors here. How many visitors does this place get on average?
About 7,000 1 year.
7,000
A day.
visitors per
A day.
Yeah.
Wow. So what I got from my internet search was that there are a lot of like weird shapes, rocks here that came from the Taihu,
Yeah.
the Tai Lake,
The Tai Lake.
nearby, and then they're all shaped differently, but they all look like different shapes of lion, right?
Yes.
Lions like prancing, standing, sitting, like from some angles. So that's why it's called Lion Garden.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another explanation, I think. Careful, this is slippery, huh? So what is this place?
This is the Yanyu Hall. This is for feasts, for banquets.
Oh, for banquets.
And this structure is called the Mandarin Ducks Hall. Because in local language, Mandarin ducks means differences.
Oh.
So you will see it is divided by a screen into two parts. And the structure and the furniture are all different. So you can take a closer
Oh,
look.
can we go inside? Oh. Look at all these different books, ancient books, right?
They are books of rocks.
Oh,
Now we are
about the
having a
rocks.
display of rocks. And you can see these two parts. They have many differences. Can you look for some differences?
Let's see.
Oh, these two parts of the room are
Yeah.
different, right? It's separate by the.
Definitely the doors on either side are very different, with the color on this side and it being see-through over there. And even the lampshades.
See, the
are
biggest difference is
different
that
too,
this is a painting, but on the other side there are words, right?
Yes.
right? Interesting. Perhaps let's bring in our guests here for a moment. This might be a good time to chat to you guys. I mean, Andy, what's your thought on China's efforts to really share and also, of course, protect this aspect of its culture?
Well, I think these gardens are a core part of traditional Chinese culture. So, of course, I think both China and organizations like the UN have seen how important it is to not only preserve them, but also make them accessible to people in China and all around the world to better understand not just this important part of Chinese cultural heritage, but also I think it has a modern relevance as well, because some of these concepts, for instance, the rocks that came out of Lake Tai, I think also represent this concept of rocks being very hard, water being soft, and yet water over time can wear down the hardest rock.
Oh, that's that Bruce Lee quote, right? Yeah, we all know that.
Bruce Lee. But that actually comes, from Bruce Lee, but also I think where Bruce Lee got it from then is from this very traditional Chinese thinking, right? Of balance and again, hard and soft, and yet, the softest thing can even wear down the hardest thing.
We know that Bruce Lee studied philosophy in the U.S. and a lot of these ancient Chinese buildings embraces a lot of different Chinese ancient philosophies, right?
Yes, and one other quick thing about this too is that there's also a modern take on this because these spaces are multifunctional in that the government administrators that worked here, used it as a place to entertain, but also a place to find inspiration, to recharge, but also inspiration for writing poetry, painting, so multi-purpose. And also, like virtual reality, because some of these scenes are meant to be miniature landscape paintings, but in 3 dimensions.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, I mean, I understand the appeal that visiting a place like this has for Chinese people, reflecting on their own history and the journey of this country's legacy. But what about foreign visitors? Do these types of experiences have an appeal, a strong appeal?
I believe they do have a strong appeal to foreign visitors, as it's very ornamental, it's very different. The inherent ideas and core cultural values are fully expressed in the architecture, the planning, and the way that the spaces are used for lifestyle, for work, and all that. But also at the same time, there is a large canon of literature written in Chinese, and many of these sites do have problems with translating the concepts, these cultural sort of concepts and historical significances into English. I myself don't have much of a problem because I've been here for such a long time, and I can read all the Chinese. So one of the things that I do is when foreigners do come with me, I'm always explaining all the little things behind the bad translations in some places.
Taking the tour guide's job.
Oh, no, not exactly. I'm not that professional.
No, but it is necessary. Because, I mean, I even find that sometimes in conversation, people will talk about dynasties, but often don't give the reference in terms of years. So Chinese people, I don't know if everybody just knows what everyone's talking about when you say Qing dynasty or Tang dynasty, but for other people,
the traditional way of keeping account of a dynasty was the name. The dynasty will have a name, and then you have who's in power, and then it's a cycle of 60 years using the Chinese system for counting. It's the Tiangan Dizhi. So they cycle in 60 years. So in all the paintings and calligraphies, there'll be two characters, and from these 2 characters, it's in lots of 60 years.
So these are the things one doesn't know.
I think for a lot of Chinese people, they don't necessarily remember the year, but like they remember the time and what it was
period.
Like, right?
It's a fuzzy
For example, in
idea.
Tang Dynasty, China was like the superpower in the world, right? And in Yuan Dynasty, there was the time of the Mongols, who was in most of China. So we associate these dynasties with what it was like back then, but not necessarily which specific year it was.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, in the Yuan dynasty, Marco Polo was actually an official in Hangzhou.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so many of his accounts about Hangzhou and Suzhou still remain today. So that was a very interesting thing. But that was a very short dynasty, about 100 years.
Yes. Yeah.
And Marco Polo, I think, spent about 12 years in China, and he wrote that beyond dispute, Hangzhou, of course we're in Suzhou now, but we were in Hangzhou yesterday, is the finest and most noble city in the world. So we can see just the level of culture and sophistication of this part of China even that long ago.
Yeah. Exactly, the appreciation, right?
That's
it's been
exactly
such a long time.
But also from the preservation of these cultural relics, much of them previously in the last few years, many of them have been restored previously in a quite dilapidated state. And a lot of through the various things that happened in the recent history of China, many Chinese people these days are trying to rediscover and reconnect with their own culture, as we can see with the introduction of cosplay, and then you see many girls on the street these days wearing the traditional Chinese dress, the hanfu.
That's a very popular trend now. A lot of young people wear those traditional clothes. And if you look over here, this is a huge rock, right? This rock, I think, supposedly come from Lake Tai. Like, think about the feat of engineering of moving these rocks. I think would be very fragile. And moving them
and very heavy
entire thing to this garden, right?
Exactly. Who was responsible for the design of these gardens? How did that work?
Who designed the garden?
I think some men of letters in the ancient time.
Literati,
together.
Oh, really?
So this is a place to entertain the literati and the Buddhists at the time. Yeah. And how big is this area? Because we've been walking for the
it covers about 1,100 square meters.
Wow. What I read on the internet is about 5 acres.
Yeah.
So now we see different, I guess, different shapes of lion, right? Well. That looks like a lion head over there.
Why are so this structure is very different from where we've come from. Could you perhaps maybe tell us a bit more about this building?
This is a 直白 pavilion. It is a two-story building. And in the ancient time, the Buddhist used to explain the true meaning of the Buddhism to his disciples here.
Oh, really?
A place for him to preach and explain the canon.
Yeah, and nowadays the second floor has been made into a tea house. And if you go to the second floor, you can appreciate the scenery of the large collection of rocks.
So is this like the main area of the Lion Garden?
Yes, this is about 1/3 of the large collection of rocks.
About 1/3.
Yeah, and there are 9 paths and 21 caves. It's just like a maze.
Wow. So if we get inside, we could get lost.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And I heard Emperor Qianlong actually visited this place, I guess 6 times.
Yeah, 6 times.
Yeah, where did he visit?
Of course,
in
this maze, and it is said that he got lost in this
He got
place.
lost in here.
Yeah.
But are we supposed to walk through this maze? Is this the right way to tour this garden?
There are many passages into these rocks, and this is
So
only one.
What do you recommend? Do we go that way or do we go this way?
We can go another way, and maybe
okay,
we can.
you think that way is better?
Yeah, that way is
Right.
better.
But this really look intricate, huh? Yeah.
And there's no risk of this getting damaged with people sort of, walking around and climbing around it.
Of course, we have some protections, and we will, make some data to explore the rocks to see if they are damaged. And if there are some small damages, we will restore it instantly.
Well, this is a nice corridor.
And you will see
And
every
where
window
are we
is
walking
different.
to now?
We are walking to the flower basket hall.
The flower basket hall.
Yeah.
So what's it about?
You will see this. These 2 pillars. They are hung in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 pillars.
Yeah.
And they were carved into a shape of flower basket. So the pillars, they did not touch the land, so you can create a more broadened view.
This really gives us a beautiful
Are they
view.
these things at the end of the beams you're talking about, the flower baskets?
Yes.
So they're a carved pot of flowers that hangs by the flowers on the end of the beam.
And this hall for lotus appreciation.
Lotus
so it
appreciation.
is also called the lotus hall.
Right, what did I say? The mental image of Suzhou,
Right?
like a strip of water and then some lotus.
Rocks and lotus.
It'd be perfect if there's mild rain, but yeah, this is beautiful enough.
Oh, wow. And you can even see people really do use the space. The artists over here, busy painting.
Yes.
It's really, really lovely.
And here you can see all kinds of rocks. And look at the left, there is a rock. Look like a woman.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
see the head?
People are being imaginative, huh, really?
It's like clouds. You can
See
see
whatever
different.
you want to see in it.
Yeah.
Yes. And what's the ticket price to come in here?
In busy seasons,
In
they
busy
are
season?
40 yuan and 30 yuan for other seasons.
So has the government spend regularly? Do the government regularly spend money to maintain this place and also add some new things around? 就是有没有就是例如说新增一些区域啊，或者说一些维护什么的？
Just protection, not they don't add anything new. They
Right.
want to protect it as it looks like in the past.
And I heard the Emperor Qianlong actually like signed some of the tablets here. Yeah.
Yes, of course, we will see later.
We will see later. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
You know what I found interesting? As we walked towards the garden, I mean, even the city or this area just before, as you're walking down the street, has a very old kind of look about it. And you even saw those bicycles that are like rickshaw kind of bicycles where one person can drive and 2 sit in the back in a little little carriage. How authentic is all of that? Well, I mean, is that something that still might exist in certain parts of China today, or is it all for tourists?
Not a rickshaw with a person pulling it, but people riding a bike, in some smaller cities. That is still a thing for just short distance transport.
I've heard that also called pedicabs as well, and sometimes they're like a bicycle where it's human powered, and sometimes it actually has a battery and it's electric powered. And we see this also in other. Beijing has them as well.
Yeah. So it's interesting how some of these cities are really just mixing old and new together.
Yes,
right?
very much
sort of
so.
existing side by side in cities like this.
Over there? Okay. Over here? What do we have here? The Zhenqu Pavilion.
It's a little different in decoration.
Oh, I actually know this one. This is called True Delight Pavilion. Why is it called True Delight? Because Emperor Qianlong said so. Right? He said, okay,
So
this is very delightful. This place is very delightful. So that's why it's called True Delight Pavilion.
Oh, Pavilion
is that
of
right?
True Charm.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, that's okay. I did do my homework.
And I think that's very common, right, in imperial China, where the emperor would see something and it would make him think of something, and he would give the place a new name.
Yes.
Yeah. Almost like a seal of approval.
Right.
And Emperor Qianlong loves this place very much, and he built 2 other lion forest gardens in the north.
Oh. Wow. And
One in the summer palace, and the other one in the summer resort.
wow.
The design is
Design's
really intricate,
really
right?
intricate. Yeah.
The detail and the artwork.
And the leaf. Yeah.
It is really, really quite lovely.
And they look like
pavilion.
the carving really look like paintings here.
Carving is very intricate.
Yeah.
Very detailed and very intricate.
Does this kind of artistry or type of work still exist?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, this is a form of intangible cultural heritage, and the government is heavily promoting the preservation and teaching of this intangible cultural heritage.
And I think it also kind of is a manifestation of traditional Chinese culture and values as well, because you can imagine it takes incredible attention to detail, focus, and perseverance to make something like this.
Definitely.
And I think these are some of the qualities that are used to describe Chinese people historically, but today as well.
And when you think about it, this place is named by Qianlong Emperor, right? And Qianlong Emperor in the Qing Dynasty, they all live in Beijing, right? So he wouldn't be able to come here so often without the Beijing Hangzhou Grand Canal.
That's right. That's
Yes,
right.
thanks to that Grand Canal, he could come down and really manage his country, right? That canal served as a very powerful link between the north and the south and promoted political and cultural unity, isn't it?
Very much so. Very, very much so. And just as we're seeing the Grand Canal, we can think of maybe as the high-speed rail of its day, meaning that it was, of course, convenient, but also, as you mentioned, has incredible political value in terms of integrating and unifying the country.
Yeah. And it must have been considered quite an engineering feat, wasn't it? I mean, at its time, to have built something like that.
At its time, I guess, from going to Hangzhou to Beijing, at Hangzhou it's below sea level, probably 1 meter below sea level. And so it has to go up through Shandong where it starts getting higher. It's really interesting how because most of the rivers in China flow from west to east. So they really needed something from north to south. So they really had to come up with a solution for that, so they could,
Well, we know, of course, we have a lot of people following us, following our journey on social media. So let's invite Li Jiao perhaps to come and read some of the comments that have come from those that have been following our journey on the southeast route. Li Jiao.
Alright guys. Hey guys, I'm Li Jiao with CGTN Digital. As always, we got some comments from all of our social media platforms. That includes our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also our official app. We got this comment saying, beautiful historical building. And there are other comments saying, unbelievable Chinese historical. And everyone must visit Suzhou, China once in their lifetime. A lot of people like this place.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So,
It's beautiful.
Is it your first time, all of your first time being here in Suzhou?
I've been to Suzhou before, but this is my first time here.
How do you like it?
I think it's pretty amazing. I mean, again, we've been spending time visiting, better understanding these Chinese gardens, and this is, of course, one of the most famous examples of them. So it's really great to be here.
I think it's also a very traditional style of the Chinese ancient pagoda. You're the first time being here, right?
Yeah,
How do you like it? Do you think it's...
What I find interesting is that often when you travel in other countries outside of China and you go to historical Chinatown spaces, and I'm thinking specifically now of Vancouver, you can actually find gardens that imitate this style. So Chinese have taken this kind of garden, the sense of this garden, to other places where people can, from far away from China, you can also experience a sort of peace and harmony that's associated with taking a walk around here.
That's right. I think the Lion Garden did, in fact, inspire a lot of the other gardens in China. I think legend has it that Emperor Qianlong liked this place so much that he rebuilt one that looks almost exactly like this in the Summer Palace.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's why it's so familiar.
That's why it looks familiar, right?
I know.
Yeah.
So long as we love this place very much, unfortunately, we'll need to hand it back to our Northeast colleagues. They are Jonathan and Xu Xinchen. Do you know where they're at?
They're in the Northeast, but
yeah.
not
Do you know
specifically where they are today?
Okay, I think they will tell you. Xinchen, Jonathan, back to you.
Thank you, Chelsea and Lenny. Look where we are now.
We made it.
Right.
And you know what? It does not disappoint. I was a little nervous pulling in here because we were looking out the windows.
I know.
And all what I saw was mud. But you know what?
Look at that. We have the
ocean of red behind us. It's called the Red Beach. And now that we know, we were saying earlier we weren't sure what we were getting into. What is red? Is it the water, the sand, or the plants? So it's called Red Beach, but it's not actually a beach. It's wetlands.
It's wetland with all these grass plants growing on top of it, and that is red.
Red plants. It's a kind of seaweed.
Let's start the jumping, but I just want to show our viewers about this little train thing. So apparently tourists are taking the train shuttle to come here. It looks like in Disneyland.
It is like Disneyland here. This is, again, what we were talking about earlier. You were worried about the crowds. But this is actually what I like about Chinese attractions is the crowds because it's wild, it's interesting, it's chaotic, but you know, it's always a good time and it's kind of a lot of fun. And frankly, I think the people add to it. So we are in the middle of it, folks. Let's go walk around.
Yeah,
we just showed up. Like you saw it as we saw it. We just pulled on into the site. No one here knows we're coming. Probably no one here knows why I'm here or why we're here. We're just going to show you what it's really like pulling up here to one of China's biggest tourist attractions as a tourist. And enjoying the view.
Look at this. Ooh.
It's a nice view. You can see inside all of this mud. You see all these holes because there's a lot of crabs running around in here. If we get closer, you could see that. But they're so small and so far down there, you probably won't be able to see it on camera. And they're also muddy, so they blend in with the ground. But they're running around down there, folks. Let me promise that to you. So we have some information here, if I can get this phone unlocked, that tells you a little bit about where we are and what we're seeing. Hold on, let me grab my friend to unlock the phone here. We've got some information pulled up because we're constantly on the go here, and we are constantly looking at things to see. So, as I mentioned earlier, they call
someone just said, like, you look so handsome, like all the tourists.
Well, let's definitely make sure we add that too. So people cleaning. So again, it's always something interesting, like scrubbing away. Ni hao, it looks great. Ni hao, ni hao, and hao. So scrubbing, getting it ready, walking on these kind of bouncy, floating on top of the mud. Ni hao. So. Okay, so this red, what looks like grass, is apparently a kind of seaweed here. And it grows mainly during the months of April and May, stays green during the summer, and in autumn it turns this vibrant red color, which is what we're beginning to see now because we are approaching fall. So if we came here probably in a month or two, I'm guessing this would be super bright red.
Yeah, we're the other way around, sorry.
Because in the fall it turns red.
Yeah, but then because it's in northeast China, so the temperature can turn cold pretty earlier than the rest of the world, the country. And so actually, if we come here like half a month, maybe 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's just more. They will be more red.
Okay, good to know. So either way, it's a beautiful sight right now. I'm not disappointed. As I said earlier, this was one of my biggest attractions that I've been wanting to see in China. I have a bucket list of Chinese places. This was one of them, and I'm so glad we make it. So what do you think about it? Shin, what are your thoughts?
I've read about this. I've watched like our colleagues doing stories.
Like again, I'm sorry. Like look at these beautiful ladies in uniform. Ni hao. Ni
hao. Hey, they're saying hi.
Should we talk to them?
Sure, let's do it.
Can we?
就是哎，我们能简单和我们聊一聊吗？就是我们是集体在做这个是。
我们来旅游的。
是这啥？但为什么穿的都一样呢？
跳舞的。
Oh, they're actually dancers, like in the dancing group for like elder.
水兵舞。
Can they dance for us? Can they dance for us?
哦，水兵舞 is like for the
美国大兵的水兵舞。
No, Navy dance.
Can they do a little dance for us
right now? Show us for a little bit. 能给我们简单展示一下吗？
可以吗？
简单展示。
可以。
跳跳就完了，比讲还强，来就跳跳。
能行吗？
See, by the way, this is what I love about China. It's always something interesting and different, and you come across these dancing ladies. Again, I know the site is the grass and the red beach, but I think this is just so much fun. I love it. I think it's so great. And you see this all of the time at attractions. People, they're obviously part of a dancing group. They all wear their uniforms. So sometimes you'll see people in costumes.
They just pull out a
see, they have music ready to go. Like they are ready for it.
Yeah, let's do this.
And so sometimes you see people like in costumes because they want to get that awesome photo for social media. So they'll come here and kind of stage like elaborate get-ups to dance and do the thing.
Oh, they have batteries for it.
I frankly love the uniforms. I think it's so cool. So they dance for the Navy? What were they telling
me? They say it's a Navy dance.
It's a Navy dance.
It's the dance from even the U.S.
And we have time to kill. We're just casually strolling along here.
Oh, making some good music.
Oh, and I like the music.
So you're getting ready.
Here we go, folks. It's actually happening. This is for real. I love this.
You want to join us?
I'm not dancing with you, Shin.
Okay. Why are you joining with the beautiful ladies, right?
Why don't you go?
No,
come on, jump in there. I love
Thank you
it.
so
You
much.
guys.
Thank you so much. Brilliant.
Yes.
Ooh.
Fun day.
You are the stars of the show, right?
We are the stars of the show. Hin Hao. We got a lot to celebrate today.
Absolutely.
你也很帅。
对，谢谢，谢谢。
他说让你们邀请他。
So let's go.
Let's keep going. Let's keep on going, folks. There's more to see. Let's see who else we meet, what else we see here.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Shin Shin?
It's really cool. It's like, think about this energy from all the people, all across Chinese people.
And that's another thing, by the way, that I don't think people talk about a lot is, at least for me, whenever I've traveled across China, whenever I go to tourist attractions like this, everybody is always really nice.
Yeah.
Even if I approach them and ask stupid questions, everyone's always friendly and willing to help. It's been really nice, actually.
Do you think it's a good look?
Thanks. I don't think so. I hope not. I think they treat everybody that way.
So we're going to this. I think this is a observation deck. So
Okay.
that I think we're going to have a better view of the red beach.
So as we walk, I've got some more information for us here, so we can appreciate what we're seeing here. This is a scenic wetland tourist resort area. What do you see, Shin?
I mean, which is a little crab.
Oh, he
Just
likes the
so
crabs. Yeah, he likes looking at the crabs there.
I think they're probably just too small.
Well, he might be able to see the crabs running around. I mean, it's kind of a neat thing. So let's see here. What else can we say about this place? Basically, the showstopper is the red vegetation, and it just goes on for pretty much as far as the eye can see. We are not far from the ocean, right?
We're not.
We're
We're
on the
close
coast.
to the Bohai Sea area, which is one of the largest seas.
And kind of give us some bearing of where we are in China. What is the nearest big city that we're near?
We're near Dalian. We're in the middle of Dalian and Shenyang. Shenyang is the capital city of northeast China's Liaoning Province.
Okay.
And Dalian is one of the first cities that opened up to the rest of the world.
Fabulous. And this is it right here. We've got the view. We've got the view here. The famous red beach of China, folks. So soak it all in. I hope on camera it is as vivid and vibrant as it is in person, because it actually is pretty beautiful. And I know probably at a different time of the year it might be even brighter and redder.
Yeah, absolutely.
But right now, I
But
like
then
it.
just think about this scenery that people can visit it in rural China. It's not just about skyscrapers people are familiar with, like they can see in Shanghai or in Beijing. But look at this. It's fresh, it's beautiful, a lot of energy, a lot of organic things that people are, saying right now. Seeing old people, younger ones. Yeah.
And I like that we're also an attraction. Ni hao, people taking our photos, understandably.
I will assure you it's your building.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But I guess we need to wrap up. We have more to show us through on our way to other places around China.
I guess it's getting time. We've had a pretty good day today.
Yeah.
We're only halfway through. We've got a lot more to see, a lot more to show you. Our bus trip goes on. It's been a long journey. We have a lot more to go, but honestly, it's kind of getting better. I'm loving this.
So you want to stay on the bus?
I want to kind of stay on the bus, and I kind of want to stay a little bit longer here. The problem is, with us, we're on such a tight schedule.
Yeah, we are.
They keep us moving. So, I mean, we're going to snap a photo, and then we got to get on the bus and keep moving. So,
But then, I mean, it allows us to give our viewers more chance to see what's happening here in China, right?
yeah, there's a lot to see. So,
We have to do the heavy lifting, and so that our viewers can enjoy what's happening here.
That's true.
So,
All right,
yeah.
time to go.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
So we have to wrap it up.
Thank you so much for watching. Again, you can find us throughout the rest of the day on CGTN television networks and also online. Just keep an eye out for us. We'll have more dispatches from across China. So thanks so much for watching.
Yeah.
Bye.
And just give us a better view of the
end
red.
on a
Yeah,
high
let's
note.
do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Bye. 再见.
In 70 years, China has undergone unprecedented transformation. From its old industrial base in the northeast to its new manufacturing powerhouse in the southeast and to its emerging southwest. CGTN offers you a panoramic view of contemporary China. Our crews will travel along 3 different routes and come to you live from dozens of locations and 3 mobile studios. Join us for an all-inclusive look at China on our TV channel and digital platforms, September the 9th to the 20th. It is New China, then and now, in celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Republic of China, only on CGTN.